Okay, so now we're ready to add a subject. We have our subject out in the capture volume. We can see all the markers, and it's a good thing to zoom in and just look for symmetry through your marker set, because it's real easy to find if you're missing a marker right here. So everything looks good there. We will add the template that we're going to use. The typical one is going to be the Helen Hayes Gate 25 marker set, but you might have a specific one for your project. You don't need to enter anything for the subject name here, so whatever the default is, you can use that. I can expand this so I can see the marker listing. Make that a little bit bigger. And the first thing we're going to do, and we're going to follow along our labels up here at the top, is we're going to do our static capture. We just selected the model. Now we're going to do a static capture. So we come over here, click on the little half-man icon, and hit start. You want to record just a few frames. Once it's the camera start rolling, you can hit stop. Back to the top, you're going to hit reconstruct and label. And we'll bring it over, zoom in a little bit, and just look to see that things got reconstructed correctly. And then you hit your static calibration button, and you should see all the little pipelines fill in. Go back to live, and now you're going to either toggle between using your Control R or your on and off line to get your marker list recognized. You should see everything highlighted or dark. Nothing should be grayed out at this point. Okay, so now we're ready to go to Motion Monitor. So next step right here is going to Motion Monitor and basically redoing the setup. All right, so I've started Motion Monitor. I'm going to check Motion Monitor for research. I'm going to select the user. Probably for your project, we've created a user. In this case, I'm going to choose the Emily user. Very important step here that you're checking the data that you want to collect. So if you're going to be collecting biomechanical data, you've got to select these things if they're not selected. In this case, we're going to do position, biomechanical, and video. If you were going to be collecting anything from the force plate, you'd be checking data acquisition and force plate data. Okay, for this particular project, we're not doing that. We're always going to start over here on the Administration tab, Edit Sensor Parameters, Vicon Tracker. Pretty much everything here is going to be just clicking the OKs. The big thing to check here is that your measurement rate is set the same as what it was in Vicon when you set up your cameras. So you have your marker list that's being streamed in from Vicon. This is the next important step, that you just check that your marker list is correct for each of your sensors that you have set up. Okay, so this is if there's something wrong with your model once you have it built, this is probably where the error occurred. So just double check these. Next step, we're going to set up our virtual sensors. I'm going to back up a second. You can edit sensor assignments if this is the first time through, and just double check to see that each of the sensors that you just set up matches with those marker lists that you saw. But if you've already been into this project once, you'll already have this set up, and there won't be any changes here. So we're going to set up virtual sensors. Make sure this bypass stylus sensor is checked. And so standing still, instruct your patient to stand facing the direction that you set up your y-axis. Takes a reading. We didn't get any notifications that we had an error. If you had an error, there's probably something in Vicon that wasn't a marker that wasn't being seen, and you need to go over there and check and refresh. So the next step is going to be set up subject sensors. We're going to use the fixed markers setup. You're going to enter your subject's weight and height. Have them stand they're going to stand basically in neutral, hands up, so they're not blocking any markers. We're going to select no here for this for that dialog. So you have your subject stand neutral position. And on the first time through, I'll always hit the acquired names here in case something has changed with my markers that are streaming in from Vicon. Again, here this has already been set up, so you should just be able to click through these next few dialogues. And at this point, you should see a nicely constructed skeleton. There we go, just like that. Okay, I'm going to close that window, And at this point, we're ready to remove the markers that we have on the medial knee and medial ankles. So I'm going to deactivate sensors. We're going to bring, we're going to show you, go back to Vicon Nexus and go ahead and remove those medial markers. We go offline, select the pipeline over here, delete subject markers, and we're going to type in those markers. They must be typed in exactly like the marker list. So medial femoral condyle and medial malleolus, right and left. Okay, if you don't know what the markers sets are, you can check it over here. But it's all caps. So you put those in, hit the play button. Now those markers have been removed. Going to go back to live. Again, go on and offline, and you should see now that all of your markers are, again, bold-faced. You can see MFC and MFC are grayed out. That's fine, but you can see now we've got nice tracking going on. We'll slide back over to Motion Monitor. Under Setup, we're going to activate our sensors, and now we're ready to record. You can, if you click File New, you'll get more menu items across the top. You can go to Interact Real Time, and you can have your subject move around. And so you can see we've got nice, strong tracking going on right there. So I can go to Interact to turn my real time off, and at this point you're ready to record. The only other adjustments you might make at this point is under the Setup, is edit your capture parameters and select how many seconds of data that you're going to be collecting. All right, and that's setting up for Motion Monitor.